Hey guys, Coach Ben from CrossFit Tigard PAW. Today we're going to talk about some goal orientations that we need to really focus on, especially in practice. Now, there's practice and there's competition, but during practice there's some things that we need to avoid and some other things that we really need to try to put some emphasis on. So let's talk about kind of what not to do in practice. Now, these are concepts and ideas from the achievement goal theory. That's a sports psychology construct that was developed officially kind of back in the late 80s. So let's look at this, and this probably speaks to most of us at least at some point, but definitely more people than other people. Let's look at it. So there's one kind of goal orientation that we want to avoid in practice. Now you'll hear the name of it. It might just make itself clear right away by just explaining it, but this person whose goals are extrinsically motivated, so coming from the external, not from within. This person or athlete tends to compare themselves to others often. They put emphasis on winning, kind of winning at all costs and things like that, not necessarily how well they performed, it's just whether or not they won. You know, these are all things, again, in practice, it already kind of sounds not so good, right? Again, being better than others or just not being the worst. So I had a bad day, I didn't win, but I'm going to make it myself really proud because I didn't do the worst. I wasn't the worst person out there. Yeah. Those people often rely on luck, and they often rely on natural or physical gifts. Now, what is this type of goal orientation called? It's pretty obvious, I think. It's ego orientation. Now, these things do serve a purpose, especially during competing. The highest level athletes in any sport are going to have some of this, but that's for competition time mostly. I do it myself for competitions. Sometimes it is good in a competition to compare yourself to others. That way you can kind of gauge where you're at. You can strategize a little bit. But that shouldn't be based on, in practice, that shouldn't always be kind of the feedback. Oh, I did good compared to this or that. It's how good you did. So let's talk about not ego orientation. Let's talk about where the focus needs to be in practice. It's the task orientation. So people that are task oriented, it's been proven in many ways that they're more successful both mentally and physically in their sport because they tend to be intrinsically motivated. Intrinsic motivation coming from within is so important. That's what gets us off the couch every day. That's what makes us train hard. It comes from within. It's not other people telling us from the external, that extrinsic motivation. It's not someone telling us, oh, we have to do it, it's mandatory, do this, do that, you have to beat everybody in practice. No, it just comes from within. The internal drive, intrinsic motivation is better than external motivation for the most part. Now I said, some people have both, especially at the highest levels. In competition, I need to be intrinsically motivated, but for sure there's going to be external motivations, winning, money, fame, etc. So both in competition is good, but less in practice. We don't want to have so much external. Effort of intrinsically motivated people, but task-oriented people, their efforts tend to be higher because they don't care if they win or lose in practice especially. They're just focused on doing their very best. And this is all, again, proven stuff. They focus on skill or mastery. This is something as an athlete, but as a coach that I love, you have to focus on getting better. It's not about lifting more, ego. It's about getting better. These type of people, the task-oriented people, focus on skill mastery. If you've mastered a clean or a jerk or gotten pretty close to it, you're probably going to win. The weight will come with time. The fast times will come with time. Okay. These people, the task-oriented people, tend to have increased confidence when competing because they have developed or are working towards mastery. If I'm pretty close to mastery, you know, we'll be perfect, but I'm probably going to be confident going in. And I just assume that if my effort's high, I'm going to do better. They tend to have more fun, especially during training, because they evaluate their success based on what their effort was and did they improve. We can still improve. We can always improve. Again, in a competition setting, we need to have this already in practice. We need to be working on mastery. We need to have high effort. We need to be intrinsically motivated. In competition, we do need some of that ego, but the focus should be kept here. The intrinsic motivation should guide us. Listen to your coach, develop that mastery, focus on the task at hand in practice, and get better every day.